We're back to check out some more content from the UK, or content about the UK, I should say, in the 10 oldest cities in the UK.
Yeah, and this is going to be pretty cool.
Last video that we did were the 10 recommended tourist spots to visit in the UK.
Some of those were so cool. I was like, I am dying to go see some of these.
Yeah, some of them were very cool. And on the heels of that one, we were trying to find another video to check out, and this one came up. But we are open to other suggestions, and we're trying to implement more UK-based content on the channel. So drop them down below in the comments section if you have anything to add to this list here in the 10 oldest cities that should have slotted in that maybe were left out, because seems like a lot of the people that do these videos aren't actually from the UK.
Yeah.
So maybe this one will be a UK based content creator that has all the goods on the 10 oldest cities. But if you've got insights as to the facts that may be different than what we're seeing here, we always appreciate learning.
Yeah, because I feel like the people who are actually from there like always know the hidden gems.
That's right.
You know? Yeah.
That's what they were saying about the top 10 places.
Yeah, they were probably like, this is the top 10 tourist places, but like you actually need to go to.
Yeah. Anyways, let's find out about these old cities from the UK.
So what are the oldest cities in the United Kingdom?
Well, we got an accent.
Well, there are 10 that are so old that they predate the record books themselves and are said to have held their city status since time immemorial. Before I dive into the list, though, I should explain briefly what constitutes a city in the UK. In short, there are two kinds. Those with an Anglican cathedral, which alone qualifies them by ancient prescriptive right, and those who were granted city status following an application. The latter kind came about during Queen Victoria's reign, where many industrial towns became cities. But we're here to focus on the former, specifically those whose founding date is unknown, mostly on account of the poor record keeping of the Saxons. For perspective, the oldest UK city with a definitive date is believed to be Durham, founded in AD 995, assuming the records of the time are accurate. So the 10 oldest cities, in order from north to south, rather than chronological order, as that part is unknown, are as follows.
Got it.
Number 1. Originally a Roman settlement founded in AD 71 under the name Eboracum, the city of York is situated at the confluence of the River Ouse and River Foss, and it became a suitable outpost at which the Romans could suppress the local tribe, the Brigantes. In the 4th century, Emperor Constantine the Great was declared Roman Emperor in York, and he became the first to allow Christians to worship freely, and by the year 314, Eboracum had its first bishop. In the 7th century, the Saxons came and named it Eoforwic, with the wic suffix suggesting that it was a trading centre. In 601, Pope Gregory sent a mission to convert the British to Christianity. He selected York to be the church's centre in the north. In 735, York became an archbishopric. In AD 866, the Danish Vikings conquered Eoforwic and put their own Scandinavian spin on it, naming it Jorvik, and made it their effective capital in the British Isles. Its iconic cathedral, York Minster, or to give it its official name, the Cathedral and Metropolitical Church of St. Peter in York, was consecrated in 1472 on the site of an old Saxon church believed to date from the 7th century, which in turn was on the site of the old Roman Basilica. This is, of course, the seat of the Archbishop of York. Number 2. In the 6th century,
some of these shots are insane.
I know.
So beautiful. I mean, these streets that are walking through, it just seems like you're traveling back in time. I mean, literally we were just a moment ago in his descriptions of, how much influence has happened from different groups. And it's crazy, that city is still so well kept. It looks like it's prestigious.
That's one thing I love about the UK and Europe is just the architecture, like how far back it goes and how beautiful it is. Like that's something that you don't really get in North America, unfortunately. Like obviously there's beautiful architecture, but it's definitely not the same as there.
Well, it's the history though as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like we were just saying, we're talking about times that are 1,500 years ago. That history just doesn't exist in other places.
Yeah.
Right?
Of the old Roman Basilica. This is, of course, the seat of the Archbishop of York. Number 2. In the 6th century, St. Dainiol founded a monastery in a settlement in the area we now refer to as North Wales. This became known as Bangor, meaning wattled enclosure in Old Welsh. Daniel became the first bishop of Bangor in the Kingdom of Gwynedd. On the site of the original monastery is Bangor Cathedral, which was built in the 12th and 13th centuries. Restorations took place over the centuries following various attacks,
Beautiful.
including one instance when King John destroyed it during a raid on Gwynedd. Bangor is the
King
oldest
John.
city in Wales, or to put it another way, the oldest city in the UK outside of England.
Wow.
Number 3. In the 7th century, St. Chad, Bishop of Mercia, declared this city his bishop's seat. The settlement was Lichfield, and it became the focal point of Christianity in the Kingdom of Mercia. Following Chad's death in 672, Lichfield became a place of pilgrimage. A Saxon church was built, which became his resting place. In the same spot, the Normans built a new cathedral
whip it in.
from the year 1085. The construction of the present cathedral began in 1195,
Wow, so
featuring the
beautiful.
UK's only medieval triple spire. Number 4. Very little is known about the Roman history of this city, but the Saxon settlers discovered a fort here and named it Weargorna Sestra, though the meaning of Weargorna is unclear. Nevertheless, the name evolved to Worcester. In the 7th century, the first cathedral at Worcester was built, which became the seat of the Bishop of the Hwickers. Hwicker was a tribal kingdom existing from the 6th to the 8th century, situated around the area equating approximately to parts of Worcestershire, Warwickshire and Gloucestershire of today. Worcester was its capital. With the Viking invasion and subsequent establishment of the Danelaw in the 9th century, Worcester became a burh, i.e. a fortified settlement, as part of a move by King Ethelred and his wife Ethelfled to solidify the Kingdom of Mercia against the Danish threat to the east. From the late 11th to the 16th century, a second cathedral was built in Worcester in a range of architectural styles from Norman to Perpendicular Gothic. Number 5. In the
It's just crazy seeing the architectural design. I know this is, not just here. There's other places around the world that have that. And I just, look at what we built today. Like you were saying, in more modern history, it just seems like we're lacking in that ingenuity that, I guess that was a point of interest because it showed sophistication, it showed wealth, that when you had these really nice buildings, right, that everybody could see from afar, it was a status symbol. But today, it's just like we have these like high-rise buildings that are like straight up with a bunch of glass, and that's it, right? We don't really
Yeah.
focus on the design aspects like they did this time, which is just so mind-blowing. That it was built so well, and obviously some restoration, like they said, but stood the test of time, and it still looks amazing. Like you go there and you look at it and you can like just feel the history that's coming out of it.
Well, I think one thing that really impresses me is the intricacy and like the attention to detail
Yep.
in the way that they built things back then. Like it was like they were building it to, like you said, be long standing and for quality, but it was also for like culture and beauty at the same time. Whereas now I feel like today, like that part of it is almost lost.
For sure.
Yeah.
the 7th century, Bishop Putter became the first bishop of this city and is believed to have been responsible for the construction of the first cathedral here. The city is Hereford.
Hereford.
The name Hereford is believed to derive from Old English for army river crossing. It was a frontier settlement which saw various conflicts between the Anglo-Saxons and not only the native Welsh but the Danes as well. In 1079, the Normans began the construction of the current Hereford Cathedral on the site of its Saxon predecessor. Work continued into the 13th century. Number 6. Now, here's where things get a bit technical. In the eyes of the law, the City of London, with emphasis on the city, refers to the approximate area the Romans inhabited from the 1st century AD, also called the square mile. This is actually both a city and a ceremonial county in its own right, and an enclave surrounded by the ceremonial county of Greater London. In the 9th century, Alfred the Great is believed to have come across the old Roman fortifications and turned it into a Saxon fortified settlement that could better withstand Viking attacks than the previous base, believed to be around the Covent Garden area, with two street names of today providing clues, as in Old English, Strand means beach, and Aldwych means old trading centre.
Hmm.
Following the establishment of the Archdiocese of Canterbury, a cathedral was constructed in London in the 7th century and was dedicated to St Paul.
I've been there.
This has gone through various iterations up to the present structure designed by Christopher Wren in the aftermath
So
of the Great
beautiful.
Fire of 1666.
So cool.
Number 7.
So you said you'd been there?
Yeah, that building at the end.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but I remember going there. I have pictures standing in front of it.
And so that was the city of London that they were talking about there. So I'd really never heard that before in terms of the city of London being different than London itself.
Yeah, I think there's like what's called the square mile, which is
Yeah.
like a certain like the center, and then there's like Greater London, which surrounds that.
I had never heard that before.
Yeah, and I also love these clips. It's almost like we're on a walking tour.
Yeah, one thing I noticed as well is how clean everything is.
Yeah.
It's just like pristine, like the streets. I mean, maybe they just selected the right area to go to, but all the streets look super clean. It's not busy. It's like, looks like a really nice place to live, you know,
Yeah.
that it would just be quiet and still be, you know, community orientated and clean, and you'd have everything you need, little mom and pop shops. And
Yeah, well, especially in some of these cities that are, I mean, I'm sure London is probably really busy, but all the
Yeah.
other ones are smaller. Yeah.
Before the Romans came, this area was home to a tribe known as the Cantiaci, from which the name of both the city and its county, Kent, derive. The city, of course, being Canterbury. After the
Canterbury.
Claudian invasion of AD 43, the Romans established a military base which they called Duravernum Cantiacorum. This became the principal trading centre for the surrounding area. Around AD 270, defensive walls were put in place, which remain in place to this day, albeit with various reworkings. In the 6th century, the Jutes established the Kingdom of Kent, with Canterbury becoming its capital. In AD 597, St Augustine arrived in England on a mission to convert its inhabitants to Christianity. In doing so, Augustine became the first Archbishop of Canterbury. By the 9th century, it was firmly established as the centre of the English Church. This did, however, mark it out as a target for the Danish Vikings across multiple generations. In 1011, Canterbury Cathedral was burnt following the capture of Archbishop Alphege. The cathedral was rebuilt and subsequently burnt on 2 more occasions before being built in stone. It was the site of the martyrdom of Thomas Becket in 1170 by the Knights of Henry II, and subsequently became a place of pilgrimage. Number 8.
So
That looks
pretty.
cool.
England's smallest city is also among its oldest, named after the wells in the grounds of the Bishop's Palace and the cathedral. The city of Wells is believed to have originated as a small Roman settlement. In the early 8th century, King Ine of Wessex chose Wells as the site of a minster church. By the early 10th century, the Diocese of Wells had been founded by King Edward the Elder. This diocese moved to Bath in the Norman period, but as a compromise, a joint diocese was later set up between the two, but officially returned exclusively to Wells in the 13th century, several decades after the construction had begun on Wells Cathedral.
Wow.
Number 9. The first inhabitants of this city are believed to be the Belgae tribe. The Romans arrived here shortly after the Claudian invasion of AD 43 and established their own settlement, which they called Venta Belgarum. The meaning of Venta is uncertain, but believed to be a Brythonic word for market. When the Saxons discovered the abandoned Roman settlement, they named it Venta Casta, meaning Fort of Venta, which evolved into Winchester. In the 7th century, a church was built here, and in AD 676, the Bishop of Wessex moved his seat to Winchester, effectively making it a cathedral. The Normans would later demolish this in the late 11th century and begin to build in its place the present Winchester Cathedral, although work continued until the 16th century. In AD 871, Alfred the Great was crowned King of Wessex and established Winchester as its capital. When England became united as a single kingdom in the 10th century, Winchester remained the capital until the 12th century. Number 10.
Last
In the
one.
1st century AD, the Romans ventured into an area of the southwestern British Isles where they founded Isca Dumnoniorum, a name which references the Dumnoni tribe who predated the Romans and to whom the county Devon is named after. The city was, of course, Exeter, and was situated at the
Exeter.
southwestern terminus of the ancient Roman road known as the Fosse Way. In the 7th century, the Saxons settled in the ruins of the abandoned Roman settlement, which they named Escancester, whose name evolved to Exeter. Having been subject to various Viking attacks, it was fortified in the 10th century by King Athelstan. In the year 1003, disaster struck as the Vikings plundered the city after they were let in through the gates. Although more or less reduced to rubble,
That's
Exeter
so
recovered,
beautiful.
and by 1050, Exeter Cathedral was
It's
founded.
insane.
Wow.
From the early 12th century, it was rebuilt by the Normans. And those are the 10 oldest cities in the United Kingdom as it pertains to city status. And to reiterate, in no particular chronological order, as their dates of foundation will remain a mystery. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. All the footage featured comes courtesy of my flagship channel, 4K Explorer. So if you'd like to see the complete walks of these cities, you can find a link to the channel in the description below. Have a great day.
All right, and it's pretty crazy. Just the time frames, and the way cultures were embedded in the same spot over that time frame. Where you have Romans, Saxons, and Vikings. All just trying to implement their footprint on
Yeah.
these areas, and they remain to this day, obviously. And you see the name changes, and
Yeah.
obviously the Vikings, I think from what I understood, they just burned everything to the ground in a lot of circumstances. So things had to be rebuilt, but a lot of them, like still even rebuilt in the 12th century, meaning that it's very, very old.
Long time ago. Yeah. It's also crazy how, like you said, all three of those cultures had an imprint on all of these places, and like how that impacted, how things turned out, right? Like obviously with all of those impacts, it's like that changed how history unfolded, and it wasn't just one culture that came through all the way through, right? To today.
Yeah. So were there any places that you recognize there?
I mean, I not to visually, but I had heard of a lot of those places. Like I recognized Wessex, the word, I can't say it, the Chester one, however you say that. Exeter, I had heard of that one before. So there's a couple in there that I've heard of, but I have only ever been to London, so I've never seen anything else.
Got it. And there was some Welsh history in there as well.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And Sam is Welsh in terms of her heritage. So
I also just love seeing the cathedrals. Like I said earlier, the detail that goes into them, like they're just so beautiful.
yeah, they, like I said, build structures that I don't know how they did it at the time.
Yeah.
I would love to be a fly on the wall and just go back and see how those things came together, how long they took, how much people it took, who is the designers of these things, and the manpower. It just really blows my mind to think about what they did back in times where they didn't have the tech that we have today. And
Yeah. Was there any of these that stuck out to you that you'd want to visit more than others?
I think it's hard to just pinpoint one, because each one seemed to have something that was a little bit different. Some of them, like I said, more tight knit, smaller shops.
Yeah.
All of them had cathedrals seemingly that were, would be beautiful to see. And I can imagine they would look amazing on the inside as well. And then you have other ones that are just more historically relevant and, might have had, battles going on there which I feel, each one, like I said, the history is different that it provides. So,
I also thought it was really interesting in the very beginning when he was talking about like what defines a city, and how he said that having an Anglican church in the UK is something that defines it as a city. I had never heard that before.
well, I think he's referencing the time period identifier, right?
Oh, okay.
So that is going to give you some guidelines as to what, culturally it represents over time in terms of influence. But anyways, you guys can give us more insights down below on these cities and what else we should be on the lookout for UK content. We
Yeah.
appreciate that. And like I said, we want to learn a little bit more about the UK. So you guys are a great resource for that. And I enjoyed this one, though, historical context, and got me some images of what some of these cities look like now.
I said I
And
love the walking tour aspect. That was really cool.
yeah, 100%. So hit that like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.